In 1987, on the isolated cliffs of Cape Mordant, there stood a lighthouse that had guided ships for over a century. Its keeper was a woman named Eleanor Voss, who had taken the position after losing her husband to the very sea she now watched over. Eleanor had chosen solitude, no visitors, no phone calls, just the rhythm of the light, the crash of waves, and her own silent grief. One November morning, during a violent storm, something struck her window. She found a cormorant, jet black, one wing bent at an unnatural angle, eyes wild with pain and fear. Most people would have left it. The merciful thing would have been to end its suffering quickly. But Eleanor saw something in those eyes, the same look she'd seen in her own mirror every morning, the look of someone drowning in open air. She brought the bird inside. For 3 weeks, she nursed it. The wing was shattered beyond repair. The bird would never fly again. Eleanor knew this. Perhaps the bird knew it too. But they had an unspoken agreement. They would not give up on each other. She named him Compass because, she said aloud to the empty lighthouse, "You're the only thing pointing me in any direction." Months passed. Compass learned to navigate the spiral stairs with his good wing outstretched for balance. He'd perch on the railing while Eleanor cleaned the lens, and she'd tell him about her husband, Marcus, how he'd laugh, how he'd dance, how the sea had taken him on a clear day, which somehow made it worse. Compass would tilt his head, as if understanding that some losses make no sense. Eleanor started talking again, really talking, not to herself, but to him. She read books aloud. She described the ships passing in the distance. She even sang something she hadn't done since Marcus died. The bird became her anchor. 3 years went by. The lighthouse service wanted to automate her station. Eleanor fought them. "I'm needed here," she insisted. What she meant was, "I need to be here, with him." They gave her 1 more year. On a gray April morning, Eleanor noticed Compass wasn't eating. He'd always been voracious, snapping up fish scraps with enthusiasm, but now he just watched the sea. She knew what was happening. She'd worked with enough injured animals to recognize the signs. For 2 weeks, she stayed by his side. She moved his favorite perch next to the great window that faced the ocean. They watched the waves together like they always had, but now in silence. On the last day, Eleanor carried him up to the light room at sunset. The sky was burning orange and pink, colors that seemed too beautiful for goodbye. Compass looked at her, really looked. And in that moment, Eleanor understood something that broke her completely. He had stayed alive for her. His body had been ready to let go months ago, but he'd seen her loneliness, felt her need for companionship, and he'd held on. A small, broken bird had carried the weight of a woman's grief because he couldn't bear to leave her alone. "It's okay," she whispered, tears streaming. "I'll be okay now, because of you." She stroked his feathers as the sun dipped below the horizon. She felt his small body relax against her palm. And as the lighthouse beam began its nightly rotation, Compass closed his eyes for the last time. Eleanor buried him on the cliff overlooking the sea. She marked the spot with a piece of driftwood carved with a single word: Compass. The lighthouse was automated 3 months later. Eleanor moved to a small coastal town where she volunteered at a wildlife rehabilitation center. She never took another bird home. Compass had been irreplaceable. But she told his story to every volunteer, every visitor, every injured creature that came through those doors. "We think we're saving them," she'd say. "But the truth is, They save us in ways we don't even realize until they're gone. Years later, when Eleanor was an old woman, she returned to Cape Mordant. The lighthouse still stood, its beam still turning. She climbed the cliff path to the small grave. The driftwood marker was weathered, but still there. She sat beside it and looked out at the endless ocean, the same view she and Compass had shared for 3 years. And for the first time since Marcus, since Compass, since all the loss that had carved her hollow, Eleanor smiled, not because the pain had disappeared, but because she'd learned what the bird had tried to teach her all along. That love isn't measured in years or even in joy. It's measured in the quiet choice to stay, to show up, to be present for someone, even when it costs you everything, especially then. Eleanor stood, touched the marker one last time, and whispered to the wind, "Thank you for staying, Compass. Thank you for teaching me how." And somewhere, in the spaces between sea and sky, a black bird with one good wing flew free. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share so that I can continue to bring you additional stories for free.